amazing viewers. Thank you so much for joining me on my program once again. I appreciate you wherever you are connecting from. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please kindly subscribe to my channel. Click the notification bell so that you'll be notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive it. Thank you so much and remain blessed. Whenever you look my video, whenever you watch my video, share the video to all platforms. Share it to family and friends. Share it in your WhatsApp group so that people can get information on what is happening in the contraption called Nigeria, mainly against the Biafrans, against the Duduas, against the indigenous people in the contraption called Nigeria. I try as much as possible to set the record straight. I don't preach hate speech. I don't speak against people. I set the record straight. The only important thing I do here is to make sure that the plight of the people remains on the front burner and the world will know the true story of what is going on in the contraption called Nigeria.
I am Mohammadu. Now, going by several accounts, 2021 was by far one of the most violent and perhaps deadliest too in Nigeria in terms of the activities of terrorists, bandits, kidnappers, and other criminal outlaws. It was no surprise, therefore, when the federal government recently revealed that it had identified 96 sponsors and financiers of terrorism in the country. The report revealed that the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit uncovered 424 supporters of the financiers, with 123 connected companies and 33 bureau de change operators, as well as 26 suspected bandit kidnappers and 7 co-conspirators. Now, prior to the recent disclosure by the government, on May 4, 2021, the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, had also announced that government was profiling Nigerians suspected of sponsoring terrorism in the country for immediate prosecution. This came on the heels of the convictions of some Nigerians for terrorism in the United Arab Emirates, UAE. Now, on its part, the Kaduna State government, a state that has been bearing the very heavy brunt of terrorist attacks, banditry, kidnappings for ransom, and other violent crimes, recently published its annual security report for 2021. The report shows that an average of 9 persons were kidnapped daily across the state, mostly in the Kaduna Central Senatorial District. The report also showed that the number of persons killed in 2021 increased by 255 compared to the 2020 figure of 937. The annual report, which provides accountability for human lives and properties of citizens, recorded a total of 1,192 persons killed, 3,348 victims were kidnapped, and 48 rape cases were recorded. The report also shows that 13,788 animals were rustled, while 309 terrorists and bandits were neutralized by security forces. The fatalities were in addition to the massive disruption of socio-economic activities, threats to education, and attacks on health facilities. The 2021 Kaduna State of Security Report is no doubt an affirmation of the deplorable security situation in the country. The one question that has lingered in the minds of Nigerians is why the federal government seems to be treating the naming and prosecution of the terrorism sponsors with kid gloves. Are there sacred cows among the identified sponsors and financiers that are enjoying the protection of government? Is the fight against terrorism in Nigeria so intricate and sophisticated that the terrorists and their sponsors have become untouchables? Concerns have also been expressed about the seeming inability or failure of the armed forces to wipe out these terrorists, despite the huge budgetary allocations and investments in the defense sector. Kaduna State Governor Malam Nasir El-Rufai has recommended, amongst other things, the creation of a theater command similar to that in the Northeast to confront the insurgency in the 5 Northwest states and Niger State in the North Central. In addition, he wants the federal government to provide the security forces with more modern technology, advanced armaments, equipment, and of course to put more boots on the ground to overwhelm the terrorists. He is insistent that the military should carpet bomb the forests where the terrorists are and flush them out. He is also pushing for the recruitment of 774,000 youths at 100,000 per local government into the security forces to crush the terrorists. The question is, how credible is the security report, the annual 2021 report? Are its sources reliable? What purpose does it serve in the general security mix in Kaduna State? And is Kaduna State any safer today than it was in 2021? Will Nigeria be rid of terrorism and banditry if some of the steps recommended in this report are followed to the letter? How practicable are they? We shall be taking a critical look and a critical view of this report as part of the holistic war against terrorism and other violent crimes in Nigeria. Stay with us. We shall meet our guests right after now.
Did you know that AIT's social media handles have all changed? If you are one of the millions of our followers on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, this is introducing to you AIT's new official and rebranded social media handles. Like or follow us now on our Facebook page, Official AIT Live. If you're on Twitter, switch to our new handle at Official AIT Live and activate the notification button to get breaking news and updates on the go. For exclusive short videos and photo news, follow our Instagram account at Official AIT Live. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Official AIT Live, and enjoy live streaming of news and your favorite programs, where you can also watch our broadcast materials at your own convenience. Note that Official AIT Live is the only authentic social media profile name with all the handles on our website ait.live with a notification prompt to accept and receive breaking news and updates on the go. Log on to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube platforms on your smartphone, tablet device, laptop, and desktop to follow us now. AIT.live. On air, online, online.
All right, let's get to meet our guest analysts who are joining us right here in the studio. First, from my far left is Achilles Chidi Chegu, the journalist and a public affairs analyst. Thank you so much, Chidi, for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Also joining us is Farouk Adejo Audu. He's a former journalist. Yes, that's how he likes to describe himself now. Well, we used to know him as a journalist before he stepped out of journalism and is now a politician. Thank you so much for joining us, Farouk.
Good afternoon.
Great.
Yes, happy to be here. Yeah.
Now, so first, let's begin with a general overview of the security situation in Nigeria today, particularly in the northern states of Nigeria. And of course, you know that Kaduna has been at the center of some of the most brutal of the security, or what we call the terrorist attacks in that part of the country. What's your assessment?
Thank you very much, Mark, for this introduction and this topic. It's one topic that has been at the heart of almost every Nigerian, because we are progressively seeing that our country is more or less gone. And a lot of people believe that we have lost Nigeria to terrorists. And the reason we believe this is because of the way terrorism has been addressed and the response by the federal government. I agree that terrorism is domiciled in the states in Nigeria, and meaning that the governors have a role to play in addressing the issues of terrorism. But the incapacity of the governors, being that they are chief security officers on paper, makes it a lot more difficult for them to address the insecurity in their states the way we expect them to do. However, some state governments have gone ahead to think outside the box and see what they could do to address the situations in their state, in the various states. Yes, it's more intractable in the north, in other parts of Nigeria, but it's also spread across even the southern part of the country. And if you look at the northwest, for instance, it seems that is where terrorism is now domiciled from what we used to call bandits. For me, calling people bandits were just a way of dressing the wound and make it seem as if it's not as serious as it is. But ideally, what we have in our hand is terrorism by excellence. And looking at the northwest, for instance, like Kaduna in particular, Kaduna state government has gone ahead, for instance, to create a ministry. I think that should be the first of its kind in Nigeria. A ministry that to look into its own security challenges and try to study it and find out the trajectory and also the mode of what is actually happening within their state, and find out exactly, to have a definite handle on what is happening. With the kind of study we've seen Kaduna State bring out in 2021, which they've done progressively every quarter, we're able to see that the state is creating an avenue for itself to find a response to what is happening within its territories. From that kind of study, if you imagine every state in Nigeria having that kind of study within its own territory, you'll be able to have a handle on exactly the kind of terrorist attacks that are coming up in the states, where exactly they are domiciled, and begin to find the actual response that you could give to address these issues. Generally in Nigeria, people have this, personally, and I believe a lot of people have this feeling that it's like Nigeria has liberalized crime and criminality, or even liberalized terrorism, because people have a feeling that, oh, it has happened in Kaduna, nothing is happening, it happened in Jigawa, it happened in Zamfara, you're not doing anything about it. And we have seen government on this one respond by telling us it's about getting enough equipment. At the time government went to buy the Tucano aircraft, the impression was that once these Tucano fighters come in, the issue of terrorism would have been reduced by half. And a lot of government officials, military officials expressed that optimism when the Tucanos arrived. But we have seen that it goes beyond acquiring aircraft. There's much more to be done. And that is why I believe the study we have from Kaduna State gives us a clear idea of what is happening around that state, and it also helps us to drive a narrative that could create an immediate response to what is happening in Kaduna State and perhaps in other states around the northwest region.
Truly, we'll come back to the issue of the story that and the report that is put out by the Kaduna State government every year. Is a progressive report, as you described it, that comes out every quarter. We'll come back to that issue later. But Farouk, at this point in time, what do you think is hindering the federal government from actually going all out to tackle the issue of terrorism and insurgency, against the backdrop of the fact that it took this government quite a while to hearken to the pressures and the voices from across the country to declare bandits as terrorists? Now that has been done, yet this has continued unabated. What do you think is the problem?
Okay, thank you very much. Number one, I think over the years, it has been established that the federal government of Nigeria sort of decided that security will be something like an exclusive thing. The states, the state governors and the states are managers of security just verbally. Most governors in Nigeria do not have control over the management of securities in their area. Now, the federal government sits down in Abuja and decides what happens in different locations, in local governments, in states, and every other way. And every other place. Now, there is no way you can effectively manage security when you have centralized it. So at the end of the day, the issue is still about true federalism. There is no way you can sit down and decide that the people who are harassing people in what you call on governed spaces in different parts of the country, that you can rein them in. It's not possible. But if truly our federating units, which are the states, also have the power, have the requisite power to be able to effectively tackle security challenges, there is no way the level, the deplorable level we have right now would have endured for this length of time. Now, I think the solution to this will be simple: that every federative unit of the state, of the state, that is of the country, the states, the local governments, should constitutionally be empowered to be able to also confront security challenges without reliance on the center. You can call it state police, you can call it vigilante, you can call it anything you want. But the truth of the matter is that as long as you want to sit down and have an IG in Abuja send some people to my village to go and look for people who commit security breaches there, a special unit must have to leave Abuja, what do they call it, either IRT, or that is intelligence response team, or what are the names of the other ones. You have to leave Abuja to go looking for criminals everywhere. And when you overwhelm the state, then the state will now cry out. You begin to send military or send police special units or send some other special units to come and flush out criminals. I don't see how you can get any solution that way. So the solution will still boil down to true federalism. That's what I think.
Yeah, but are you aware or conscious of the opposition to that recommendation, for instance? Those who think that these security agencies and forces put in the hands of state governments and state governors especially might be subject to political abuses.
Well, the truth of the matter is this: even the federal government cannot you cannot look at all the situation and decide to extricate the federal government from abusing even those securities. So if the fear is that state governments will abuse the powers, if such powers are given to them to raise security forces to confront our challenges, then of course the federal government too has been abusing security. The federal government uses the security agencies at will. They use it. In fact, as a matter of fact, even court rulings and others, they disobey court rulings, they abuse it. So you cannot use the facts, the likelihood of abuse as excuse. Okay? I'll give you an example. Local government elections in most states, we know that a lot of states abuse them. But there are states, like the Kaduna state that we are reviewing now, for instance. In Kaduna state, it is one man, one vote. In a lot of states, they write results for local government elections. So the likelihood that some states will actually be principled to use the security the security forces appropriately is also there. But the issue is how to confront the challenges. Are we going to be afraid of the likelihood of abuse and allow bandits and terrorists and criminals to overwhelm us? Is that going to be a solution? I don't think that will be the solution. So no matter what you call it, whether you are going to allow them to raise their own state police, or whether they are going to use whether they are going to use vigilantes or whatever, but at least the state, even if it's not total or extreme constitutional power, at least there should be some allowance given to states to be able to contain security challenges in their own locality. Right now, the governor will have to rely on the DSS, they will have to rely on the police, and possibly rely on the army if they have. If you have the armed forces in those states, and they do not control these people, they do not control them. We are seeing in this country where commissioner of police were harassing governors. That's happened in this country. I don't want to name the states. Okay, commissioners of police were harassing governors. A state governor went to the airport the other day to go and receive the vice president and was turned back. Was turned back at the airport by an Air Force officer. Not even the GOC. It happened. So how do you expect a governor like that to be able to take charge of security in the state? So there should be alternatives, even if it's not total power. There should be alternatives in which the states should be able to take control of security in their locality, in their domain.
One question on Chudi that many people, Nigerians have always sought answers to is what the state governors do with the huge security allocations that they give to themselves every year. If their states continue to be insecure and they continue to rely on the federal government and the federal security agencies to assist them in the area of security, where do those monies go to?
It's a question every Nigerian wants to find answers to. But first and foremost, before you find answers to that question, you must first ask yourself, how much is the security vote? Because all that you hear about security votes in Nigeria are all in spheres of conjectures. Some tell you state governors take 500 million every month, the speaker takes his own, the deputy governor takes his own. In some places you will hear that governors take up to £1 billion for security votes. It's hidden, everything is hidden under the term security vote. And I tell people, once you create a problem of insecurity in your state, the governor and his team can afford to waste the entire money of the state under the name of fighting security. And because the details are not disclosed, you can't come back and say, tell me exactly how you spent this money. And that is the problem we have as a nation, the problem of disclosures. You are told that security votes are not disclosed to anybody, it's just between the governor and those paying him. What the governor spends on, you do not know. But we have seen governors in the states also making interdictions, trying to donate vehicles, logistic equipment to security agencies. Like we said, those are not enough. That's not enough to keep the security in the state. Like Audu has stated here, Farouk has said that you don't get across to fight insecurity in your state by relying solely on a centralized force in Abuja. You don't. It won't work. And the reason for this is because we have structurally destroyed the governance system. The 3 tiers of government in Nigeria have been structurally destroyed by way of governors ensuring that there are no local government elections in their states. So the moment you appoint somebody as a local government administrator, you decide what he does in office. And he lacks the powers. And because we didn't allow this true federalism to be institutionalized in our system. So even the local government chairman is not even, sometimes, is answerable only to the governor. He doesn't know what happens to the allocation of his state, to his own local, in the state, to his own local government. He doesn't know. How do you expect such a person to create a system within his own locality to address insecurity? But ideally, that's what it should be. The local government should have authority, powers, to create a security system that responds to immediate security challenges without relying on Abuja. The same way with the states. And why we keep on saying that we are scared of state police because of our abuse is because we are also admitting in ourselves inadvertently that we have destroyed the rule of law system. We have not institutionalized this in Nigeria. Because if the rule of law is fully institutionalized in Nigeria, a governor who abuses the state police structure will know that at the end of the tunnel, something will happen. He should, of course, know, and then be able to guide himself properly. But because we're already admitting that, look, it does not exist. The rule of law does not exist here. Therefore, whoever becomes the governor of my state is so powerful enough to do whatever he likes with the state. He administers the funds of the state the way he likes. And then when the security challenges arise, he calls Abuja, please come and help me. And Abuja is at liberty. Now, you and I know that you can't even place a hand on how many people we have in the military around Nigeria. Compared to our population, the statistics not even balance. Compared to the population, you can't even say that, look, Nigerian police is enough. The number of police men we have in Nigeria is enough to secure a geopolitical zone in the country. Not even the army, not even the air force, not even the navy. So if we have these kind of numbers, how are we now able to respond to security challenges in 774 local governments across the country? It becomes more difficult. So buying equipment and giving to policemen or giving to military is not even enough. But the reality is that once we have a system that has institutionalized corruption, institutionalized criminality, the governors have a leeway through which they can now write off whatever they want to write off under the term of security vote, because you can't query it. And since you can't query it, you don't know what the details are. And everything goes on. We accept it, we clap. I mean, recently I was asking somebody, I said, look, you're going to run for the presidential election. He said, oh, the man is doing very well. He's sharing money up and down. And he may likely get it. And I asked him, whose money is he sharing? The guy said, it doesn't matter. That as long as he's the governor, he has the powers to do whatever he likes with the state funds. That the man, that the man could as well take that money to establish a business after office. And nobody will query him. That is the mentality that guides a lot of what we do in Nigeria at this moment. Because a lot of people believe that since the money belongs to the state governor, he's free to spend it the way he likes. And all we can do is to tag along and see if that money could trickle down to our own pockets. I mean, the society gets rotten, everything is destabilized, and nobody cares. At the end of the day, when you talk of insecurity in the country, insecurity in my village, somebody tells you Buhari is not responding. Insecurity in my village, somebody tell the IG. But I'm a state governor. I think that's the problem we face.
All right, Farouk, let's take a very quick look at what has happened in the last couple of weeks. You recall that the Minister of Information came out early this month to say, look, the federal government has identified scores of individuals and organizations who have been financing terrorism. And that was not the first time that had come out. Last year, in 2021, the Attorney General and Minister of Justice said something similar to that and did say that these people will be prosecuted. In fact, at that time he said some of them had been arrested and were going to be prosecuted. Up until as we speak, names have not been released. Identities of these individuals have not been released, and we are not aware that anyone has been prosecuted. What do you think is happening here? What kind of message is a government that is serious about tackling this menace is doing?
Thank you very much. You see, one thing that is very crucial and extremely important in every society is that there should be trust between the government and the governed. And how is trust established between the government and the governed? It is very simple. That the government can be relied upon. That whatever you hear from the government is credible. That if there are breaches to the law, that the government will rein in those who are culprits. Now, if a government comes and says, okay, we already know those who are sponsoring these people, of course, the next thing to expect is that those people will be named agent and possibly punished for it. Well, I have to give a caveat. I'm a politician, and I'm not a politician in support of the ruling party. So whatever I say could be John-Dice, but I like to isolate the Minister of Information in his capacity to manage information from what actually happens. Now, if you are going to release the information that they are sponsors of terrorism, then the next appropriate thing to do is to name the people. Now, if you are not going to give that name, you are not under any compulsion to bring that information to the public. At the moment you bring the information to the public, without being conclusive about it, you now erode that trust. You erode the trust that exists between the citizens and the government. Yes, there are security challenges that this government is encountering. Every government in this country at one point or the other has encountered security challenges. Okay? This particular government has had its own fair share, in fact more than its own fair share. It has never really been this bad. Even during the Civil War, it has never really been this bad. That nobody has the courage to travel by road almost to anywhere. The only place you are very safe is either within Abuja city or within most of the cities. There are some cities that you are not even safe. Okay? Now, to manage these issues, to manage these issues. Take for instance like what the Kaduna State government is doing, and that is what attracted me to want to talk about it. To manage these issues, a government has to be very open, has to be very plain. Okay? Now, if you're playing hide and seek with the public on information, at the end of the day, maybe the Minister of Information will end up naming people he considers enemies of government and all that, and that will further erode trust, further erode credibility. You know, but if you are open, if you are scientific about it, like the Kaduna State government is doing, that every quarter, every crime that is committed in Kaduna State, the violent ones, the ones that has to do with terrorism, the ones that are just normal criminality and all that, all of them are itemized. They are reduced into a volume and made available for people to have the information. People want to cross-check. If you want to dispute, if you want to dispute the information provided, at least you have an information you can dispute. So if the federal government can borrow a leaf from what is happening in Kaduna, right now, I listened to your introduction. If you want to know the number of people who were killed in Kaduna last year, either from terrorism, from criminality, or from whatever, it is there. If we have something like that in the federal government, we now know that, okay, these things are being approached with disinterest. That there's no bias in addressing security issues.
Could that possibly be the reason why the federal government is not naming these financiers and sponsors? Is there a possibility that politics could be read into this process? Well, assuming that the names of the persons and possibly organizations are those of persons who are not supporters of this administration.
Well, you see, the truth of the matter is that it is only them who can give you the reason why they didn't call the names. But my own problem is providing information that you already have the names, then you are now withholding the names and hiding it. Okay? Now, the guess could be my guess is as good as yours. People will enter all sorts of speculations. And at the end of the day, the story of the government will be told by the people. The government will no longer be able to tell its own story. So if there are people that are involved in terrorism, did you get it wrong when you prompted us that you have the names? If you got it wrong, come back and apologize now. Okay, we thought we had the names, we don't have the names, we'll be back. Okay? If that is not the case, if you have the names, provide the names. Let us all know that, okay, this is where it's coming from. And in any case, any criminal or anybody doing evil that has been identified, it is difficult for the person to operate. It is very difficult for the person to operate. In any locality, in any village, if this man is known as a thief, anywhere he's moving around, every eye is on him. So if we know you are sponsoring terrorism, the moment you arrive, maybe you arrive my own state, maybe you arrive, and I know that your name has been named by the federal government as a sponsor of terrorism. The moment you arrive Lokoja, a lot of people will know that you are in Lokoja, and will get to know, and will put an eye and say, who are the people who went to visit him? The people who went to visit him will now be suspected to be accomplices. Okay, so you would have helped us a lot. Okay, but we're not getting this. So the important thing is information. Let us have the information. It will go a long way in solving the issues.
All right, let's take a short break. When we return, we will be focusing on the 2021 report of the Kaduna State government as far as security and banditry, kidnapping, terrorism is concerned. Even rape has been put in the mix. We return very shortly.
Nigeria of our dream. The Nigeria we need is the united, indissoluble, and cohesive Nigeria, which guarantees equity, fairness, justice, and prosperity for its citizens. That is our focus on people, politics, and power. It is fresh, insightful, impactful. It's a must-watch. People, politics, and power on AIT.
Thank you so much for staying with us. In 2021, according to the Kaduna State government report, a total of 1,192 persons were killed either through terrorism, banditry, armed robbery, in fact, violent criminal activities claimed the lives of 1,192. And that same year under review saw a situation where 3,348 people were kidnapped. And out of that number, 2,771 persons were kidnapped in Kaduna Central Senatorial District, 298 in Southern Kaduna Senatorial District, and of course 13,788 cattle were rustled in that state in 2021 alone. And again, Kaduna Central bore the brunt of that exercise. 10,261 cattle were rustled in Kaduna Central. Now, these figures seem to indicate that indeed 2021 was perhaps so far the bloodiest in Kaduna State. But how reliable are these figures? How authentic are these figures? How credible is this report? Judy, how much credibility can anyone place on this report and the figures that have been put out there? Is it holistic enough?
So far, and until we have an alternative report or any other report querying these figures, I will hold on to the figures as authentic. But for me, looking at having read the report itself, I saw the indicators and the parameters that were used to arrive at these figures. I think they are quite authentic, and it's like it's the first of its kind in Nigeria, from any state across at all in the country. And the question for me to ask is why
Thank you so much for your patience to watch from the beginning to the end. I hope you have learned something from the video you have just watched. The video you have just watched is to bring information to your doorstep and for educational purpose. It is not to demonize anybody. Let us watch continuously and see who can be able to make a sense out of every nonsense we are seeing. We must continue. We move. It doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't matter what they say. They will kill us. We will kill them. At the end of the day, Biafra is here. Thank you for watching. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please kindly subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell so that you're notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive it. Thank you. And remember, blessed. Bye-bye. See you again.